Garage Bad Trip is a new top-down shooter stylized to look like an 80s horror B film. Take on hordes of zombies as you uncover the mysteries of where these zombies came from, all while trying to survive. Garage Bad Trip is available exclusively on the Nintendo Switch for $14.99. Garage has you play as an ex-drug dealer named Butch. One day, Butch wakes up in the trunk of a car parked inside of an underground garage. This underground garage has many secrets hiding within, and it's up to Butch to uncover them and learn about the start of this zombie apocalypse. It's the pretty straightforward mystery horror of a secret organization doing things they're not supposed to be doing. The story is presented and told via in-game text dialogue in lower thirds. There isn't any voice acting for the dialogue, but you do get a bit of background information by finding story items throughout the game, such as old documents and video clips. It's not the most original story, and by far not the best way to present this story from a story standpoint. In the parts where the game gave you a bit more information to entice you on the game's mystery, I was rarely intrigued by it. The story was bland, unoriginal, and well, just sort of there. Sadly, the gameplay is only mildly better than the game's story, but it still leaves a lot to be desired. The game is presented in this top-down shooter view. You control the character's movement and attack aim with the left stick, but can also choose a more precise aim with the right stick once you have a gun. You're able to pull up a weapon wheel that pauses the game and lets you quickly swap between weapons. As for attacks, you can punch and kick with the two respective trigger buttons on the Switch, while one of the shoulder buttons lets you do a roll to evade attacks. It's a rather simple setup, but executed a little poorly. The hitbox for enemies feels almost broken at times. There were countless moments where I'd be fighting zombie rats that I can only kick at the start of the game. So many of my deaths were caused by the kicks completely missing despite me facing the rats and spamming the kick button. It's really frustrating as it's not because of a lack of skill, but more because of bad game design. Enemies would even just disappear. It's like there's unfinished code for the objects to interact. There were moments where I knocked down a door and a horde of zombies or rats would try to come through the door to get me. The issue with this is that the enemies would disappear when they were near the door, just because the game doesn't know how to render the two objects near each other. This would lead to sneak attacks by the enemies whenever the game decided to render them in. It felt unfair at times to have enemies just disappear and then spawn right in front of me, along with the terrible hit detection. These issues made boss fights where the bosses would spit out tinier enemies a real pain in the butt. It all ends up making this game feel like playing it is just a chore. There are some bright sides to the gameplay, like a change of pace when it came to the actual gameplay. For example, while the main feature of the game is a top-down shooter, you'll come across moments like a bike section that transforms the gameplay into more of a racer. The variety is welcome, but it didn't fix the game design issues I mentioned earlier, which were constant throughout my playthrough. As for replay value, you can replay the game to try to find some of the secret rooms that hide some more of the lore to the story. However, like I mentioned before, I never found the story to be that compelling or riveting, so I didn't really feel motivated to do so. The entirety of this game has a splatterpunk theme to it with a filter over it that makes it look like you're watching an old Grindhouse VHS film. It also has this old school 3D effect filter over it that gives it tones of blue and red with scan lines over the final picture. It's an interesting look that goes well with the zombie slaying gameplay. While I did enjoy the visual art style, I thought some of the presentation could use some work though. First off, there were some pretty lengthy load times at the start of a save load. Items that could be picked up would fail to render when in a room too. This means that rooms that appeared to be empty actually had items inside them, but only would render them when I was near the actual room. This was just one of the many rendering issues I found in the game that I detailed earlier in the gameplay section of this review. Playing this game in dock mode, the game looked well on the larger display. The stylish visuals really do pop on the big screen. In portable mode though, the game can look a bit soft. I can't tell if it's the resolution that this game is running at in portable mode or if it's just the heavy use of filters in the game, but it didn't look as sharp as a game of this caliber could be, at least in portable mode. Garage's audio design feels a bit lazy. The sound effects for grunts take precedent over the music and, well, they're not very good. Butch's grunts changes every 2 attacks and it sounds rough to say the least. I went ahead and lowered the general audio and raised up the music audio in the game just to get the sound effects to go away. They were loud and abrupt. It certainly made playing the game out loud in public as awkward as playing something like Galgun in public. The music is better than the sound effects. It has this whole ominous feeling that lends itself to the feeling of mystery that this game has thrown over it. Occasionally there are moments where the music does become almost like white noise though. A few times while I had some friends over and I was playing this game, we thought a jet was flying over my apartment building, but it ended up just being the sound of the game running. Not so much the Switch overheating or getting really hot, but just the game's music. Garage Bad Trip is accurately a bad trip. Coming from Tiny Build, who shipped out games like Phantom Trigger and Hello Neighbor, I had higher expectations for this game than what it turned out to be. Garage Bad Trip feels like a rushed and lazily put together game. The visual presentation is nice, with an okay story, but the way both were executed along with the terrible sound effects made the game feel like it wasn't done yet. At the current $15 price tag, I don't think Garage Bad Trip is worth getting. Even on sale, I'm a bit wary of recommending it. I'd say if you're in the market for a top-down shooter, just go get Phantom Trigger instead. It's from the same publisher, but a much better package overall. That does it for my review of Garage Bad Trip for the Nintendo Switch. If you have any questions about this game or games you'd like me to review that are coming out in the future, let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a like, subscribe for more videos just like this, and perhaps share with your friends on social media. Thank you all very much for watching, hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.